Good day. I'm Janet Fouchier from FEDSAS Gauteng. Thank you so much for joining us in the FEDSAS studio today. With me is Mrs. Lidia Rauch from Bloom Enterprise and her associate, Ms. Ricky Manuku, who will be speaking to us today about Heritage Day. Ricky, why does Heritage Day matter and why should we celebrate it?
It's lovely to be here, Janet. So when you think about the typical South African, they like to eat a boerewors. They like to eat a bunny chow.
Absolutely.
They like to eat a milk tart and a magwinya. So as South Africans, we already fulfill and live this rich diversity that we have in this country. And Heritage Day is really about recognizing that rich diversity. When we talk to people in the work that we do with Lidia, that's one of the biggest things they appreciate about South Africa, that it has this huge diversity and this rich cultural diversity that it has. But the other thing that I think is important about Heritage Day is it tells the story of how we as South Africans continue to transform for better. The history of Heritage Day is that it was called Shaka Zulu Day, and that was quite a divisive holiday. And when they wanted to make it an official holiday, what we did as a nation was say, okay, we'll make it official, but we're going to celebrate the heritage of everybody and not just one particular group. So it really talks to our ability as South Africans to embrace the many different cultures that we have and to always transform in ways that appreciate our differences.
Absolutely. Great. Lidia, why should we celebrate diversity? And what can we practically do to celebrate it this Heritage Day?
Thank you for that wonderful question. So Nelson Mandela in 1996, actually, while he was still president, the first democratically elected president, of course, in South Africa, he said that the reason why the government of the day decided to actually make Heritage Day one of our national public holidays as well is because it has the potential to unite us as a nation. Not only do we have this freedom to celebrate our own heritage, but we also have the ability to celebrate each other and to learn from each other and to actually be humble enough to want to educate ourselves about one another. And that's why I think the invitation that he extended to us was to actually not only celebrate ourselves and our own heritage, but each other and make that active decision to learn. So what I think and what I'd love to invite our viewers and listeners to do is to actually identify a cultural group in South Africa that you don't know that much about and to actively go out and learn in a humble way, be willing to understand someone on a deeper level, have that human connection and that human conversation, right? And the great thing about our country is we've got 11 official languages and cultural groups, well, more cultural groups than that, but we've got 11 official languages. So if you focus on one different language per year, and you identify a person that speaks a different language each year, within a decade, you will have a deeper understanding of our different cultural groups in this country. And you will actually have a deeper understanding of our South African rich heritage and not necessarily only your own. Because I do think that unfortunately we tend to stick in our little bubbles and then we do the celebration on what we now call Bride Day and then we kind of just move on with our lives. And I think Mandela's invitation was for us to go deeper than that. And just some practical things that I think that we can do is to actively put in an effort to really educate ourselves about the historical context of different cultural groups. So to actually go beyond our own lens, but look at their history through their lens, not necessarily our own. So take that effort to have that conversation with someone, to actually read a book, read a video, watch a video, sorry. Watch a video, read a book, make that human connection to actually get a deeper understanding of someone else's heritage. Then, of course, we can learn different languages. I know that's something that feels overwhelming and a bit extreme to do, but a couple of words I think goes a long way. And that's a really great way to build meaningful relationships across cultural lines. We can actually put in the effort to eat different food, right? Invite friends over from different cultural groups and every person brings a dish. And then we can speak about that and we can educate each other in a way that doesn't feel too intense, and that is human to human. And that kind of connection lasts. And then lastly, I think we can put in an effort to celebrate each other's art, music, etc. It's so rich in our country, but it just takes a little bit of effort. And I think that effort goes a very long way.
That's a great challenge. What a way to think about this. What do you think, Ricky? Can Heritage Day unite us in our diversity?
I really think it can. And the thing is, some of the examples that Lydia has started to speak about are some of the things that people are doing. If you think about schools, a lot of the schools on Heritage Day, they allow their learners to come in your own cultural wear. And all that we're asking is, instead of they just wear their culture, give them an opportunity to talk about it. Give them an opportunity to talk about what it means to them. Some of the other things that we can do is a good way to get insight into culture is to ask about names. I've learned a lot about Afrikaans culture by asking about names and how names are so important and are handed down in Afrikaans families, right? So it's the same in all our different cultural groups. Those names have deep meanings. Sometimes they have meanings within a particular family. So even in a small conversation, you can learn a little bit more about the culture just by asking a little bit more deeper question and taking the time to listen. How does this build diversity? Diversity is all about appreciating what difference contributes to a space. We're all focused on being united and being a rainbow nation. But diversity is about recognizing that in a rainbow there is yellow, orange, green, blue, and all of these different colors. And the rainbow would not be as beautiful without those colors. So if we want to be diverse, we have to really honor the different cultures we have in our country. And to honor them is to truly understand their history and where they come from. So that when we are using a word from another language, we know the depth of that meaning. When we are wearing an outfit from another culture, we know where it comes from and how it was created. And we honor that history that belongs to a particular people who are part of our greater nation in South Africa.
Absolutely. That's so awesome. Lydia, what does the work around diversity and inclusion mean for you? What does it look like? And how can you partner with FEDSAS? How can we partner together?
That's such a wonderful question again. Thank you for asking that, because I think it is so important for us to think about how do we practically do this work, because unfortunately this work is harder than it sounds. It's nice for us to have a conversation, but to actually get down and do the work sometimes is harder, and it takes that decision. It almost takes that bravery. It takes that school that signs up for a program, that takes that leap, that wants to make that commitment. So we do work around diversity and, very importantly, inclusion, because inclusion means that who I am, just the way I am, will actually be accepted. I can feel comfortable enough to be my real self and not a version of myself in order to fit in somewhere. So the work that we do is all around how do we create an inclusive experience? How do we create an inclusive feeling? And I use those words deliberately because inclusion is a feeling. It's not a 5-point plan and now I've done the course, now I'm done. It really requires us to see and hear each other human to human, to respect each other human to human, to be open to understand what is it that you need from me in order to feel honored and respected, and very importantly, included in this space. And if I'm seen and respected in that way, I can feel authentically really included. So the work that we do is human to human. It's an opportunity for us to hold up the mirror for each other, for us to be able to see and understand each other on a deeper level. And it can take the form of language and awareness training. How can we get a deeper understanding, a deeper awareness, and very importantly, use the right language when we do this work? It can take the form of unconscious bias training. We all have biases. How can we become aware of that? How can we understand where that comes from? We do anti-racism and anti-sexism work with a strong focus on reconciliation, because we know that our nation, very importantly, is not healed as the way that it should have been by now. And then lastly, all of the work we do is around working towards nation building. Ultimately, that's what we want to achieve. Ultimately, that's where we want to go to. But it's important for us to understand that systems in the past has been set up for us to be more divided. Our differences has been used as this tool to divide us instead of uniting us. That's why this conversation around heritage is so important, because our differences, like Ricky said, has the ability to strengthen us. It has the ability to unite us, but we have to be able to actually not only tolerate that difference, but celebrate that difference. So the work that we do really gets us closer to that point, to see each other, to celebrate each other, and to honor and respect each other. So we would absolutely love to work with your schools. We work with school governing bodies, scholars, teachers, combination, all of the above, and we would love to go on a journey with you. So if any of your schools would be interested, please do click on the link below, and we would love to get in touch with you.
Wow, ladies, it's been such a privilege. Thank you so much for being here and for contributing your ideas and for sharing all the knowledge that you have. We look forward to seeing you again in a FEDSAS studio soon. Kaliboga. Thank you so much. Baie dankie.